3 books in now with the anthology connected. When your enthusiasm returns and you do sit down for number 4, 5, and 6, we're promising it right here exclusively on this show. But if you were to sit down, how do you keep track of your world building? How do you make sure that you're not contradicting past you, or do you occasionally get to a point where like, oh, past me set this up and I hate him because it prevents me from doing what I want to do now? How do you keep track of all of that?
Well, it's something that I've come to realize is that these obstacles that you've ended up putting in front of yourself actually become tools that you can use. When I wrote Unwind, I never expected it to be a series. And so I ended it in such a way that sort of really closed a lot of things off. And so when I finally decided to write a second book, which ended up becoming 4 more books, I was sort of just stuck with how I ended Unwind. And at first I was frustrated, but then as I started to work with it, I realized that it forced me to think out of the box for where these characters go in the next book. But there are times when I wish I wouldn't have done something, but now it's already cast in stone, and I can't pretend like it did, and I didn't make that rule in that world.
And of course, got to ask about the movie. Where are we at in terms of the Scythe movie?
It is in development, in that interminable period where it's being written and rewritten, and the script was thrown out, and now they have a new writer working on it. Steven Spielberg is shepherding the project, which blows me away because he was my childhood hero. To know that he even knows I exist and has read my book is amazing enough. The fact that he wants to make my book into a movie just blows me away. And so he's shepherding the project, and he has there's a writer that's on it, a new writer, and we're waiting for the script to come in, and hopefully the script will be good. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed.
Can you use that as an opportunity to go meet him? That way, whatever happens with the movie, you get the experience of meeting.
I told my agents that I want to have a sit down with Steven Spielberg, and they said we'll figure out a way to make that happen.
Me too, Mr. Spielberg. If you're listening, if you ever write a YA or middle grade novel, come on the show. Fingers crossed. If fans are excited, what should they be doing to help the process? Is there anyone they should be contacting on social media, or a hashtag they should use?
Oh, I don't know. It's the last thing you want to do is to send your fandom attacking a studio, because that can backfire.
Well, then it sounds like the thing that fans should do is read the books again and wait patiently.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I'm hoping it'll happen.
With any of these projects, when I know you're actively involved, certainly with Game Changer and some of the others, and you have the experience. You're not writing screenplays. You're writing books. The experience is the book that you created. Is a movie just sort of, well, that I hope it works out, but either way, the book will still exist? Or do you want to be involved and make that the best possible representation? How do you feel about your work being adapted?
Well, I do want to be involved, but I don't necessarily always want to write it because there's just not enough time in the day. I mean, there were points at which I was attached to write projects, and I ended up being the bottleneck. I slowed the project down because I had so many other things to work on. So I don't want to be the person who is preventing the project from moving forward. And if there's writers and a director who is excited about it and passionate about it, yeah, I'm fine to sit back and let them do their thing. I just want to be involved. I want to be able to sit on the set. I want to be able to give my comments and notes. And then there are the ones that I feel like I want to write, or at least I want to have the first shot at writing. I wrote the first draft of Challenger Deep. And then they went on and they hired Will McCormick to do a new draft. He's an Academy Award-winning writer. I'm thrilled to have him involved. Wrote the first draft with my son Jarrod of Dry for Paramount, and they felt that it needed to be bigger because in order to make it a theatrical release, it had to have this sense of size and explosions and plane crashes and all of that stuff. And so they brought in Jason Fuchs, who wrote Wonder Woman, to do a revision of the script that really made it a studio project. Had no problem with that. You know, it's whatever it takes to get it made. And, you know, I've heard a lot of authors who will complain about their books being made into terrible movies. Yeah, but every single book that gets made into a movie ends up becoming a bestseller. And then people will say, well, it's the movie, the book was better than the movie. Well, that means that they read the book. So on one level, I like to say, I see TV shows and movies as a sales tool for the book. You know, I'd love to have a fantastic movie made or a fantastic TV show made from my books, but I'll settle for a bad one.
It's a mediocre movie version is still going to sell a lot of books and introduce people to your work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy that. I read Congo by Michael Crichton because I couldn't believe that the book would be as bad as the movie. And it wasn't.